Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking on a topic that, on the surface, seems really simple, but it gets incredibly complex when you look under the hood.
It really does.
We're talking about the 30-day sugar challenge, but we aren't just looking at, the obvious white granules in your coffee.
No, not at all.
Our mission today is to analyze the complete metabolic, the neurological, and even the structural consequences of cutting out all quick-acting sweeteners.
That's right. We are drawing a very bright line here. When we say sugar in this deep dive, we mean not just refined sugar, but all the caloric sweeteners that act fast. So honey, maple syrup,
Agave, which people think is healthy.
agave, high fructose corn syrup, even things like rice syrup. And then there's the crucial next step, the part that a lot of people miss. There's a co-conspirator.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because if you, the listener, are smart enough to ditch the honey, why do you often still fail the 30-day challenge? Does that point to starches being the real culprit here?
Absolutely. This is the first really critical insight we need to get across. We have to address the equivalence of sugars and starches.
Okay.
Starches, things like bread, corn, potatoes, rice, they're just long chains of glucose.
Right.
And when you eat them, your digestive system just cleaves those chains so quickly. The metabolic spike you get is, it's virtually identical to drinking a soda.
So what you're saying is that metabolically, a plain white bagel and a few spoonfuls of table sugar are delivering the exact same physiological shock to your system.
They're delivering the same high glycemic load. That's the key. Both sugar and starch flood your bloodstream with glucose, and that results in these massive insulin spikes.
And that's the roller coaster.
That is the roller coaster. That constant surging and dipping is what locks you into the cycle of energy crashes, mood swings, and most importantly, those relentless cravings. Understanding that equivalence, that is the foundation for anyone who really wants to reset their system.
Right. And here's where it gets so interesting, the initial phase. Why is quitting so hard? Because those first few days feel just awful. And that's usually where people give up. We're talking about a genuine withdrawal.
We absolutely are. That first phase it's all about intense cravings, brain fog, sometimes headaches or nausea. And it typically lasts just 2 to 4 days.
That's it, just a few days.
Just a few days. But it feels like forever because your body is basically in a crisis. It's used to running on this instant, easy glucose. And when you cut that supply, the body has to reboot its entire operating system to start sourcing energy from fat.
And the brain side of this is so key. This isn't just about willpower. Your brain is actively fighting back because of the dopamine connection.
That is the addiction nugget right there. The studies are very clear on this. Sugar stimulates the dopamine reward pathways in your brain in a way that is, it's strikingly similar to highly addictive drugs.
You get a genuine high.
You get a high, an immediate, massive surge of pleasure chemicals. But it's swiftly followed by a crash. And that crash is what fuels the dependence. Your brain just starts screaming for the next hit.
Which helps explain that vicious cycle of stress eating, doesn't it? We tend to think of it as, an emotional weakness, but the sources paint a picture of a physiological trap.
It is. It's a physiological feedback loop that just keeps reinforcing itself. So say you're experiencing stress or isolation, your body releases cortisol.
The stress hormone.
Right. That leads to anxiety. And your brain, looking for that instant reward, it triggers the craving for sugar. But the sugar itself, paradoxically, it destabilizes your brain and your immune response, which just escalates the physiological impact of the stress even more.
You have to stop the fuel source to break the cycle.
You have to stop the fuel.
Okay, let's shift from the brain and look under the hood of the metabolism. Standard sugar is a disaccharide, so it's made of glucose and fructose. And they're not handled the same way, are they?
Not at all. And the distinction is so important. This is the dual threat. Glucose is the one we all know about. It immediately spikes your blood sugar.
And then insulin comes rushing in.
Exactly. The pancreas dumps insulin into the system to deal with it. And if this happens chronically, multiple times a day, every day, your cells just get tired of hearing the signal. They become resistant.
Which is insulin resistance.
That's the definition of insulin resistance. The glucose stays in the blood and your body can't use it for energy properly.
Okay, so that's glucose. What about fructose? It's often marketed as the natural sugar, and agave and fruit juice, but it has its own unique destructive pathway.
It does, and it's why so many people who switch to natural sweeteners still struggle. Fructose metabolism is different. It mostly bypasses that immediate insulin signal and just goes straight to the liver.
So the liver has to deal with all of it.
The liver gets this massive influx, and its preferred pathways to convert that fructose into fat. specifically triglycerides.
And that fat building up in the liver is the direct cause of a major modern illness.
Precisely. That is the definition of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is just reaching epidemic levels everywhere. So when you eat sugar, you're getting hit from two different angles. Glucose spiking insulin everywhere, and fructose clogging up the liver.
So the whole point of the 30-day challenge is to stop both of those signals at the same time.
Stop them both cold.
So how long does it take for the body to, I guess, realize the party's over and start adjusting? Because getting through those first 2 to 4 days is everything.
It really is. Once you push past that initial withdrawal, the metabolic switch just flips. Insulin levels drop, they stabilize. Your hormones signal that it's time to start mobilizing fat for fuel.
And your liver starts making ketones.
Your liver starts churning out ketones, and the body shifts from running on quick carbs to burning fat. And once you're fat adapted, the intense, desperate cravings for sugar, they just start to fade away. Your energy is finally consistent.
You know, we always focus on weight loss with sugar detoxes, but the brain changes are maybe the most profound finding in all of this. We're talking about tangible repair, neuroplasticity.
We really are. We're seeing the brain's amazing ability to rewire itself and heal from the, chemical damage of that addiction. And this is why movement is so crucial during the challenge.
Because of BDNF.
Exactly. Exercise boosts a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF.
So break that down for us. What is BDNF, really?
It's often called miracle grow for the brain. I love that description. It promotes the survival of your nerve cells and encourages the growth of new connections, new synapses.
And sugar does the opposite.
Sugar actively suppresses BDNF. Research shows this clearly. It leads to impaired memory, and it increases the damage from addictive cycles, especially in the hippocampus. So by cutting sugar and adding movement, you are actively reversing that damage. You're repairing the structural integrity of your brain.
So it's that combination stable fuel plus boosting BDNF that leads to those incredible mood and focus improvements people talk about.
It's directly related. When your brain is running on clean, stable fuel like fat and ketones, instead of the crazy peaks and troughs of glucose, you just eliminate that brain fog. People report so much less anxiety, fewer mood swings, and just a level of clarity that lasts all day.
And then there's that fascinating side effect with our senses, the one that proves the brain has completely recalibrated.
The taste bud sensitivity, it is one of the most remarkable things. Your sweet receptors essentially get a full reset. After just a few minutes, foods that used to taste normal or even savory can taste overwhelmingly sweet.
So people will say things like carrots taste like candy.
Exactly, or that plain water tastes sweet. It's amazing.
And what happens if someone tries to reintroduce like a super processed sugary donut after day 30?
In many cases, it just tastes sickeningly sweet, almost chemical, and sometimes the body immediately rejects it, causes a bit of physical sickness. That's your brain's neuroplasticity in action. It has built a defense mechanism. It's giving you very clear feedback. This is no longer acceptable fuel.
Okay, let's bring it all home. What measurable changes can you expect if you commit to 30 days and really maintain this focus on whole foods, cutting out the sugar and starches?
The data shows a wholesale improvement in your metabolic health. On a blood panel, you should expect to see significant improvements in blood glucose, a huge reduction in triglycerides, that's the fat from fructose in the liver,
Right.
and often an increase in HDL, the good cholesterol. We also see a drop in blood pressure pretty consistently.
So this isn't just about managing your weight. This is about cutting your systemic disease risk across the board.
Exactly. This one shift profoundly reduces your risk of type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, heart disease, stroke, dementia, and even certain types of cancer. But there's a crucial modern immune benefit we really have to emphasize.
This point is so critical, especially when we look at recent global health events. The severity of an illness seems to be directly linked to your underlying metabolic health.
The sources are very clear here. Individuals with metabolic problems, especially chronic insulin resistance, they face much higher risks of severe illness from pathogens.
Why is that?
Because insulin resistance means your body is in a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation all the time. And that inflammatory background, it just compromises your immune system's ability to respond quickly and effectively to a new threat, like a severe viral infection. Cutting sugar isn't just a diet. It's about shoring up your core defenses.
So the ultimate takeaway here is really It's an insurance strategy.
It's the ultimate health autonomy. Instead of waiting for symptoms and then spending a fortune on reactive healthcare that just manages the damage, committing to real food, to a sugar-free lifestyle,
Yeah.
it's the most powerful preventative investment you can possibly make. It shifts the whole power dynamic.
It takes you off that roller coaster of dependence.
Completely. And it gives you stable energy and real biological resilience.
Well, this deep dive has given you the clear structure from that initial dopamine hit all the way to the long-term metabolic markers to really understand the mechanics here. And that knowledge, that's the motivation you need to push through that tough initial phase and find true empowerment.
And if we connect that profound individual change to the bigger picture, it really raises an important question for you to consider. If we know that chronic metabolic problems significantly increase the risk and severity of global health crises, what is the societal cost of allowing this sugar and starch cycle to just persist? And how much personal investment in our own health is required to genuinely build a resilient community?
That is definitely a thought worth chewing on. We highly encourage you to consider taking on your own 30-day challenge and seeing firsthand just how quickly your body can begin to heal.